Hello, listeners, and welcome to Ticket to Life. Yes, today's going to be a serious topic, but just want to talk about some other stuff before we get into stranger danger information. That's why, usually, if I have a pretty deep topic or something that is important to me to pass on, I won't be playing my theme of Swing Rabbit Swing. Um, it's anyway, so we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, anytime you do hear a podcast with no music, that means it's a pretty deep topic, or at least it is for me. And anyway, I just want to hope that everyone is having a great 2023, the first first full week of 2023. I hope everything is going well with you and your family and your friends and your job and your life. I hope that you are finding your blessings each and every day. As I always say, those are important to find. So last week, I had a little drama with my health and I had to go to the ER. Well, I'm a pretty healthy person and I had to go to the ER and literally was there for 8 hours just waiting. But it was so interesting to be there because I don't. You hear about the ER, you hear about how people wait forever and ever. There was a man there, and he said, "I've been here since 8:30 with my friend, and it was already 3 o'clock." And I got there around, I don't know, 11:50 or something, and we left at 7, almost 8 o'clock. But anyway, it was just amazing to see how well a hospital and an ER runs. I mean, it's kind of like cattle, and I shouldn't compare myself and other patients there as cattle. I'm fine. It was just a minor thing. But anyway, but it was interesting to see the staff and how professional they are and how nice they were. I went to a hospital in Rockwall, Texas, and it was just so interesting that they still had a sense of humor, that they were showing compassion. They were showing how much you cared, how much they cared. And I thank them because I'm fine. But it was sad at the same time because there was a lady, obviously homeless there, and she sat there for a while and they did let her sleep. And it was so crowded that they said before they took me back. And it was just interesting to see how they did have, people in the hallways because they were such an overflow. But anyway, so I thought it was so kind because they did take really good care of the lady who was homeless. They found a place for her. They called her an Uber, and they said, "We're sending you to blah, blah, blah place, and you can stay there for 3 days." But the sad thing was, she wanted to talk to her daughter, but they tried calling her daughter, and her daughter is actually the one who took her there and dropped her off and left her there. So remember one thing, people, that you owe your parents everything. If you are a pretty stable person, give your parents a good thank you and tell them how much you care and love them and appreciate them. If you had parents that were not the best of parents, I know that you are making changes in your lives that you don't turn out to be like they were because two wrongs don't make a right. And these, again, are only my opinions. I'm not a therapist or a life coach. These are just my thoughts. But anyway, thank you to the staff at the hospital in Rockwall, Texas, and thank you for taking such good care of me and my husband for being so patient. And thank God for that we both like to read, and we had our books with us, and so we read and saw a lot of pastime. There was a couple that came in, and obviously the mom was not feeling well. And then the dad, he knew they were going to be there for a while, so he leaves, comes back with their two kids. And it was kind of sad because these kids have got to be exhausted. They've been at school all day, and I'm assuming they were at school or daycare or wherever. And mom was just grumpy, and she was yelling at them. And I just thought, oh my gosh, it's a world you just don't always see. I like to see. Um, the blue skies, the sun set, the sunrise, the birds singing, but it is a reality check that all lives are not like that. But that, again, is just my opinion. The other thing is I really do hope that everyone is having a healthy new year. But what got me to think about, now we're going to go to the topic of stranger danger, is there have been so many things in the news about children. And thank God for the Amber Alert. Because of the Amber Alert, many children are found and hopefully unharmed. What got me thinking about this is my son had told me about a movie called The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, and it was made in 2021. If you've never seen this movie, obviously, if you don't like really scary movies, I'm not a person who does like scary movies, but it was an eye opener, and it was I guess more of a scary movie because it's a reality check. It involves some ghosts and stuff, but nothing. I mean, obviously, no um, exorcist or anything like that. But it involves. It's about child abductions and a killer who gets kids and he takes them. But it's just again, it was an eye opener because after I saw this movie, I thought to myself, that's one thing you don't really hear. I don't know if schools still talk about it, but back in the 80s, it became such a big deal that everybody was talking about stranger danger. I don't know if parents still do that. I think they need to. I think it's very important to keep our kids, just like your parents, I'm sure told you never to talk to strangers. I know back in the 60s, we were told never talk to strangers. Don't take, of course, the enticing thing back then was candy. Don't get candy from a stranger. And I will admit, I was walking home from school. I was probably in second or third grade, and I'm walking home by myself from school. And this man pulls up in a car. True story. And I'm walking, and he asked me where a certain street was. Second or third grade, you might know a few street names, especially where you live. And I said, "What?" Because he said it kind of in a low voice. And he says, "Well, come here." What Dumbo over here goes closer to the car. And he asked me again. Then my gut instinct, my stranger danger alert, even though in the 60s we didn't call it stranger danger, my radar went off and I knew to back off from the car. I said, "This is the street you're on." And then I just started running. Luckily, he was going one way and I was going the other. I'm sure it could have been an innocent thing, but it's something that simple that can get a child into trouble. And if we don't talk to our kids about that, it can lead to a lot of horrible things and maybe not so horrible. Kidnapping is usually it's a ransom for money or gains of something. An abduction is a person who has been taken forcefully, like a kidnapping, from a location, and usually forced by being lied to, like, "Come here, I have something for you." So I think it's just so important that we talk to our kids about stranger danger. As I think most of you obviously know, I love children. I love kids. I love being a mom. I love being a grandmother. I think it is so important that you start talking to your kids at an early age regarding this because it's so important for them to know. Um, so what is it? I mean, when you think about being abducted, what do you talk about? I think that because a lot of kids are online playing, you have strangers in your house and you don't even know it. They may not be physically there, but they are on there through technology. Again, here I go with the technology and phones and video games. And I think that the majority are probably innocent. But have you ever really asked your kids, who are you playing with? And they say friends. Well, what friends? Friends from school? You need to verify these things because a lot of people say, I sound very young. I could probably pass for, I don't know, a 20-year-old. I'm 65. There are men and women out there that can get in these chat rooms with your child and become their friends. And they could live in Timbuktu. They could live right down the street. But it is so important for us to be involved in that technology of our children. It is so important because especially as they become teens, kids especially, and girls and boys, well, both, are so wanting to be loved and needed that they do meet these strangers online. And, "Hey, well, let's meet up. Let's meet up for a soda or some coffee, and we can talk about the game." "Oh, I'm sure it's fine." "Hey, mom, can you take me by so and so? And I'm gonna meet up my friend that I play with online. His name is Benny, and we're going to meet up. Well, you're thinking he's always talking about Benny. Benny does this, Benny does that. But you don't know who Benny is. That's to say, oh, I'm not a stupid parent. I wouldn't do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying we need to be aware of who and where and when our children are talking to. Stranger danger became such a nationwide panic. Literally, it was a panic about strangers back in the 80s. I mean, it was like kids were being snatched up left and right. And all of a sudden, people were thinking, oh, we need to talk to our kids about this. Now, in 2020 alone, now this is during the pandemic, almost 400,000 youths were abducted. 400,000. The majority were girls. But by the grace of God, most of them did make it back home. An abduction can be physically and mentally problems for a child or an adult, because it happens to adults too, for the rest of their life. Almost 80% of the abductors are usually non-custodial parents, and 35% or somewhere around there, they're usually between the age of 6 and 11. Now, you get these Amber Alerts on your phone, and I know it can, for some, it can be annoying, because I remember being at a department store and all of a sudden all the phones started ringing. Or how about if you're asleep in the middle of the night, unless you have it on Do Not Disturb. I don't know if that works or not, but it's going off, and it can kind of be freaky. But anyway, 90% of these abductors are usually moms and with their female family members, and the rest are dads with their male family members. Okay, people, let's think about not being mad at the other, and I'm going to take my son or I'm going to take my daughter. Talk it over. Learn to, I don't care if the relationship did not work. Don't do that to a child. Don't, because the bad thing is, guess what? Guess who's going to wind up going to jail? You are. So rethink it. Talk about it. Get an attorney. You get some social help. Do something. But anyway, so okay, 71% of the non-family abductions happens, and they happen outside, like outdoors. Like, let's say you can go check the mail, and your child says, "Mom, I'll do it." Okay. It happens outside schools and parks. People are always watching. You know, it is Big Brother watching, but not just on technology. People are literally always watching your moves. If you are home enough or know your neighbors, you're probably pretty sure know that, Bill down the street leaves at 8:30 and he's usually home by 6. It's that kind of thing. People are always watching. But anyway, this is a sad situation for parents where their relationship just didn't work out. And I understand that just doesn't happen. I'm divorced. I don't have kids from a previous marriage, but I get it. And I understand that that's really hard, but you have to remember that it's all about the kids. So it's just, the smart thing is, if you have this urge or you get into a big fight, don't first thing is like, I'm taking the child. Just think. Be the smart one. Do the wise thing. So I know that it is annoying, back to the Amber Alert, but this is such an important, and by the grace of God, it is throughout the U.S. And I just think it's wonderful, because it's a sad reason that we do have it, though, that we should not have something like this. And for those of you that don't know the story, I'm not going to go into the whole detail about why we have the Amber Alert. It was actually a little girl. I believe she was 9, I think. But she was killed. It was horrible. She was just riding her bike in her neighborhood, just riding her bike. And she was abducted. And then she was killed. Like, I don't know what crazy people are. And yes, I will say it. Crazy people hurting children. I do not understand that. I do not get that. I always say, and I know I shouldn't because I'm not supposed to be judging, but what these people do to these small children needs to be done to them. or maybe not so much. Two wrongs don't make a right, but they need to pay for the crime. So, unfortunately, I think until now, they still have not found who hurt her. Who killed her? I'll say it, who killed her? But by the grace of God, back in 2022, I believe it was passed, and in the US, we have the Amber Alert. So it is so important to just look at your phone. If it's in your area, look at your phone, and you're, out going to go out. Who knows? You could save a child's life. It could be a blue car, a red car, a white car with, some significant license or something that you could actually just look at it. Don't ignore it. Look at it. Read it quick because it will plant a seed in your mind. Another thing we do have is called Code Adam. Now this is I don't know how many of you remember the show, but I think he may host another show. Um uh John Walsh. It was TV. He was the TV host of America's Most Wanted. Well, his son also, unfortunately, back in the 90s, I think, was killed. He was abducted from a store. Abducted from a store. I mean, he could have been in the aisle right next to his parents. And it happens that fast. Happens that fast. I think, well, the where I'm getting at, his name was Adam, and they have in certain stores here in the U.S. called Code Adam. I know that Walmart has it, and there's a sticker and it says Code Adam. So if you ever hear this, I don't know if they announce it, out loud on the PA at the stores, or certain stores have it. They'll have a decal on the outside of their doors, and what they do, they have certain designated employees to start looking for the child. They have designated employees to man the doors. And I don't mean the greeters, I mean other people. So if we're all working together, perhaps we can help this stranger danger thing and help not so many children get hurt. Now, I don't know how much history everyone knows here, but there was a very rich man back in the 30s, Charles Lindbergh. So this has been happening forever. And his child was 20 months old, lived in a mansion. And of course, they didn't have alarms like we have now, but the child was kidnapped from his upstairs bedroom, nursery. Unfortunately, ransom letters were sent on and on. You can, if you have nothing else to do, look that story up because it's a sad story. I mean, they just kept asking for more money and giving him clues. Well, unfortunately, they did find the body of the baby, not buried too far away from their home. They've and again, luckily they did catch that man. But like I said, that was back in the 30s, but that was a big thing. That was a big kidnapping, and I'm sure there have been others. Honestly, there are kidnappings more than we probably even know, because they don't announce kidnappings because usually it is to get money, but you get everyone involved. You get the FBI, you get the local authorities, and that's good. But I just feel like we can help prevent this. So if parents or guardians need to know, first of all parents and all guardians of these children, it is not your fault. It is not your fault that these children were abducted. No, no, no. And remember, it's just people that are, now these are my opinion, that do these things are just evil-spirited people. To take a child, why? Why would you take a child? I mean, kids really, you don't know the difference, especially when they're young, 3 or 4. They don't know strangers. Some kids are just shy and don't. And then you have the child who is high and they just start talking to strangers. But it is so important for us to talk to our kids about strangers, the do's and the don'ts. We don't want to scare kids that they never come around and talk to anyone and become very antisocial. No, we don't want that. But we need to tell them. We need to tell them the basics. Don't talk to strangers. You can say hello or hi, but things are so much different than back in the day. I know I'm always saying that because now kids are saying, "Hey, do you want to come to my van? I've got some puppies." doesn't love a puppy? I've got kittens. Who doesn't love kittens? Hey, I've got an iPad and a phone if you want one. You want to come see it? Or I've got a PlayStation. You can have it. You just need to come get it out of my van. Those are enticing things more than what a piece of candy is. And this is why we have to talk to our kids. It is so, so important. I have to admit, these are pretty cool things when you come to think about it that some stranger is offering you. I can see why kids would want to go and look in the van. But the other thing is, a lot of kids, especially teens, 13, 14, I was with a group of friends during the holidays. We started talking about how 14 is a strange age. It just is. Your body is changing, your personality, your smells, everything is changing about you. This is when you learn to either love yourself or hate yourself, I think, because it's a time to embrace who you are becoming. And this is, again, the importance of talking to our kids. And some, especially girls, well, I say girls, boys and girls, they want to be loved. They want that affection. They want that someone to tell them they're pretty or you're so cute. Oh, yeah. And I get it. I was there. We were all there. But this is the bad thing. The bad thing is technology opens doors to let these strangers in our house that we literally have no control of unless we are with our child 24/7, which is impossible. And you don't want to do that. You want to trust your kid. Why not? But this is so important to talk to them. Let them know how they're loved. Let them know that it's okay that their body's changing. Let them know that they're growing hair in crazy places. It is very important to me that girls don't find someone online and meet up with them. Because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing 16-year-old meet somebody and meets at a park and they go off. And luckily, they're usually found. And they usually do come home. But it's just so important for us to talk to our kids about stranger danger. Of course, now I think they call it they're calling them tricksters or trickery or people with tricks because they trick you into going to come with them. But let's show our kids how smart they can be. Teach them to say, if you think it's wrong, then don't do it. If you feel anything, do not do it. More than likely, they are smart enough, because I'm sure they will use their gut instinct. So talk to your kids about stranger danger. Get on Facebook, get on, not Facebook, get on the internet. Look, well, I'm sure Facebook too, but get on the internet, look up stranger danger. I mean, there used to be cute videos for kids to know who you can talk to and who not. Start talking to them at a very early age. And if you do have a chance, watch that movie, The Black Phone. It's not real scary, but it is an eye-opener that these things can and do happen. Talk to your kids. Don't let the kids see it because that will just freak them out for life. But it's something for the adults to see. Well, this is Henry, and until next week, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. Take good care of yourself and take care of your kids. Thank you for listening, and go find your blessings in 2023.